You don't lose control because you're an explosive person. You lose control because before you notice anything, something inside you has already decided what it means, and it decided without asking you. You blame the situation. You blame traffic, work, difficult people. Most of the time, it wasn't the situation that exploded. It was a silent judgment you made in under a second and then treated as reality. The issue isn't how much you feel. The issue is what is happening in silence, in that second you never see, but that has already decided your entire reaction. Picture a simple scene. You're at work. You send an important message in the team chat, explain an idea, put yourself out there a bit. Minutes go by. People talk about other topics. They react to other messages. No one reacts to yours. What actually happened? A message was sent. No one has replied yet. What happens inside? They ignored me. They don't take me seriously. I'm invisible here. That jump from fact to story happens so fast you don't see it. You swear you're reacting to what happened, but you're reacting to what you silently decided it means. Now, a more intimate scene. You come home tired. You've carried problems in your head all day. You walk in, say a low-energy hi, drop your bag in a corner. The person who lives with you, your partner, your mother, someone close, says, "You're already in a bad mood." Not even a smile. In that instant, your judgment fires. They don't see what kind of day I had. Nothing I do is enough. I can't even be tired in my own home. A 5-word comment becomes proof that no one understands you. You answer coldly. The other person closes off too. In half an hour, the whole place feels tense, all because of a micro-judgment no one saw. Again, what actually happened? You came home tired. The other person interpreted your face. You interpreted their interpretation. No one checked anything. Everyone reacted to their own internal script. This is where Stoicism comes in, and where Marcus Aurelius becomes genuinely useful. He ruled the largest empire of his time, surrounded by real problems, wars, disease, political intrigue, personal loss. Even so, his daily focus wasn't controlling the empire, it was correcting his own judgment. The principle is simple and hard. Nothing enters your mind as a pure fact. It enters as a judgment. It's not, "They didn't reply." It's, "They don't care about me." It's not, "My boss asked me to revise the work." It's, "He thinks I'm incompetent." If you don't notice when this judgment is born, you live as if the world is attacking you all the time, when, very often, what's attacking you is the way you read the world. Epictetus, who had no patience for self-deception, puts it so directly it stings. It is not things that disturb men, but their opinions about things. He's not saying that to comfort you, he's saying it to take away your excuse. You get a "we need to talk" from someone important. It could just mean "we need to talk." But before any clear sentence is spoken, your mind has written the whole script. I'm going to be criticized. I'm going to be left. Something is wrong. Your body reacts to the script, not the words. Your anxiety responds to the story, not the fact. Another scene that happens all the time. You text someone you care about. Nothing dramatic, but you open up a bit. They see the message and don't respond. You check the time. You check if they're online. You open the chat again. Your chest tightens. Instead of registering "no reply yet," your mind rushes to labels. I'm not a priority. I'm being avoided. Once again, I care more than the other person. None of that is on the screen. It's in the judgment you stuck on top of the situation. And that judgment will decide whether you sleep in peace or lie awake replaying conversations that never happened. Before we go further, do something that already changes how you watch this video. If any of these scenes has happened to you, in a work group, on WhatsApp with someone important, at home, write in the comments, "I see the second," nothing else. It forces you to admit in writing that there is a space between what happens and what you do. Back to the mind. What makes this judgment so dangerous is exactly how it shows up. It doesn't present itself as a decision. It shows up disguised as perception. You don't think, "I'm judging this as disrespect." You think, This is disrespect. You don't think, I interpreted this as rejection. You think, I am being rejected. Marcus Aurelius insisted on guarding that frontier. He knew there is no point trying to govern anything outside if you don't govern the point where a fact turns into a story inside your head. Think of a temperature display. The room is at 20 degrees, but the display, out of calibration, shows 30. The system blasts at full power, not because the room is hot, but because the reading is wrong. You do this to yourself all the time. The situation is at a 3, you read it as a 9. The criticism is at a 2, you read it as a 10. The delay is at a 1, you read it as a 7. You react to the reading, not to reality. When you look at this through the lens of neuroscience, the overall pattern matches what the Stoics were already pointing to. Typically, you first judge something as a threat. The brain takes that judgment and flips the alert system on, and only then does the emotion hit you as if it were inevitable. The order matters. You're not a body that feels and then thinks about it. Most of the time, you are an automatic judgment that triggers a body on alert, and only afterward do you become aware of the emotion. If you don't see the judgment, the emotion looks like the first and only thing. If it looks like the only thing, it feels inevitable. If it feels inevitable, you conclude, this is just who I am. This is where character training begins. Not as a sermon, as concrete practice. A Stoic doesn't stop at, that's just how I am. He asks, what have I been reinforcing in practice when I react like this? The mind learns by repetition. Every time a trigger appears and you explode or defend yourself immediately or answer with sarcasm, you're training that path. It gets shorter, more automatic, faster than your clarity. It's not personality, it's training. And what was trained can be retrained. Training differently isn't inventing a Zen version of you, it's changing what happens in that silent second. A Stoic starts by recognizing the judgment, not the emotion. He notices the urge to label something as an attack, as contempt, as rejection, and silently names that judgment before moving a muscle. Then he refuses to act at the peak of the impulse. He knows any response sent while the body is on high alert comes more from reflex than from reason. So he builds a habit of waiting for the body to come down a notch before making an important move. Only then does he return to the facts. He asks what actually happened, what is observable, and what is his own story layered on top of it. That simple separation dismantles a lot of narratives that looked solid and reveals how much of the pain came from judgment, not from reality. Put that into a concrete scene. You're at a family dinner or out with friends. You say something serious. Someone answers with a joke. The table laughs. Inside, the script appears instantly. They don't take me seriously. No one here respects me. I should just keep quiet. You spend the rest of the night more closed off, colder, maybe short with someone who has no idea what happened. If you take one step back and apply this way of seeing, what changes? Fact, you made a comment, someone responded playfully, people laughed. Judgment, they made a fool of me. Option, breathe, let the moment pass, or, if it truly matters, bring it up later with calm, without attacking anyone. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but it is possible. And for someone serious about Stoicism, that's what counts. One last scene, and this one is different because it shows the second being seen in real time. You're in a tough conversation with someone close to you. They say something that hits a raw nerve. You feel the heat rise instantly. The first version of your reply forms in your throat, heavy, fast, ready to fire. Then something different happens. Instead of opening your mouth, you notice what's happening inside. You notice you just judged that comment as a deliberate attack. You notice your body is already in defense mode. You notice the answer about to come out isn't really coming from you, it's coming from reflex. So, you stop. Not because you're weak, not because you're swallowing it, because you recognized the second before obeying it. You answered differently, slower, with less charge, and the conversation moves to a place it never would have gone if you had followed the first impulse. No one on the outside sees what just happened, but you do. And that invisible inner move is what Stoicism calls self-government. It is not the absence of emotion, it is the presence of choice. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus meet at one point. You are not responsible for what you feel. You are responsible for what you do with what you feel. Feeling anger is not a flaw. Feeling jealousy is not a flaw. Feeling fear is not a flaw. The problem begins when you get used to obeying those feelings as if they were orders, when you turn impulse into habit and habit into identity. The Stoic doesn't try to erase emotion, he refuses to let it sit on the throne. You can keep telling your story as if your life were the sum of situations. People push my buttons. This environment destroys me. No one respects me. Or you can start telling it from the only place that is actually yours. I keep reacting this way to these triggers. I keep judging what happens to me like this. I can train a different response. Every time you review your judgment before you react, you're not being nice, you're correcting the reading, trading an automatic version of the story for an examined one. That second you never saw was always there. In the argument that escalated too quickly, in the message you sent and regretted, in the sharp reply that left your mouth before any reflection, in the silence you read as rejection when it may have been just distance, in the tone you called contempt when it may have been just fatigue. The difference now is that you know where to look, and once you know where to look, "It was stronger than me" starts to lose its force. Because strength wasn't what you lacked. What you lacked was attention to the right second. To turn this into something concrete, write in the comments exactly like this. Write, "Today I review my judgment before I react." It's not a magic phrase, it's a public reminder that between what happens and what you do, there is a space, and that space belongs to you.